Welcome back to That I Like Garage. I'm Norm. I'm going to be showing you about the 911 Turbo 997.2 build. I got in my my valves. We got in the valves, and I have some updates on the rods. So if you were watching our last episode, I had an issue with the rods. I sent two of the stock rods to Carrillo. I sent them my two best ones because I had 4 of them that were bent, and when I received them back, they called me and they told me that the 2 that I sent them were bent also, so the rods that I already have are the correct rods for this engine. So that's one problem solved. And I've also received my new valves. My exhaust valves. I already did my intake valves. I grinded them down, I machined them, and I did everything that I needed to do. I'm going to show you the procedure on the exhaust valves, how to reseal and reseat the valves. I'm going to show you the tools that I use and the methods that I use, so you have an idea what goes into rebuilding these heads and regrinding down the seats. I'm going to be recutting them just lightly, but I'm going to be recutting them because the exhaust valves were kind of beat up because these cars are direct port injected, so there's a lot of carbon buildup. This one is the stock valve, and this is a aftermarket valve that I had made. I didn't go with the stock ones because the stock ones are about $120 each, and these were $68 each to make. So everything is, the materials and composites are the same. It's stainless steel, and then Inconel on the bottom. They're pretty much identical, except for one little thing, is that these are not flat bottoms. The factory ones are flat bottoms, and these guys have a little dish in them. They were telling me that because of this, it's able to cool down the valves better than these. I don't think there's going to be any performance differences. If anything at all, I might lose some compression because of the dip in it, but we're talking about such a small amount that it won't even make a difference. I already did all of these valves before, all these seats before. I'm just going to demonstrate how it's done. This is called a 3-valve angle job, right? I would go in here, you put this pin, it's nice and tight. And this is my cutting tool this tool does, if you see here, 45. This side does 45 degrees, and this does 30 degrees. So I like to first start off with the 30 degree. I would do the 30-degree angle. You put this here, and you would spin it. I already did it, so I'm not really going to put any pressures on it, right? Oh, that wasn't good. Now, so the next step is to flip it over and do the 45. I'm gonna, if you could see here, it's all filled in over here, not like this. There's you could see the shiny. Here, I'm gonna just do the 45 right now, and I'm gonna clean it out. I'm not really cutting much material here, but basically just trying to clear out the dye that I just put in there. You see it's coming out. The 45 is the most important cut. And as you could see, we cut through it. We're good. Next step, because I already cut the other angles, there's also this is the 60-degree angle. That would also go. I would cut the other. But this side, I cut all of them already. Now we're up to the next step, which is taking a valve. And now this has also a 45-degree angle. I think it's like 46 degrees, one off, and and those are the two parts that actually mate and touch. Now there's a certain size that they're supposed to be, right? The thickness of the 45 degree on the seat, and it was I made these in, let me see, what was it? I made 60, 0.060. That's how wide I left these. So when doing this, the next step is to put this stuff. It's non-drying, I don't even know how to pronounce that, but anyways, you put a little bit of this on the seat, right? And you have to do this to all the valves. All right. That's on. I'm going to put it into the desired, this is the one that we just did, right? And now when I, I got to redo it because I erased some of the stuff, the goop-de-goop. So what you're going to do here is you're going to put it into the guide, right, into the hole, and then you're just going to push it in, hold a little pressure, but you don't want to spin the valve. You just want to make a mark by pushing it down. Right? I'm going to make a mark pushing it down. And now, from inside, I'm just going to push the valve back up. Where this, there it is. And I'm going to grab it without making any marks. And over here, we're going to see where it sat. It made contact, right? Over here it did not, and as long as you have about 75% of it, over here it touched all the way through here, all the way to this side. I only have about, I want to say maybe 20 degrees where it wasn't touching. Valves do spin in place in there. This one's ready to go. You could see where it wasn't touching. You could see it's touching. It's a little bit hard. I'm gonna try. You could see where it was touching over there, but over here there's no dye from this spot to this spot. Everything around it, the rest, has dye on it. So this one's good. The next step, and now this time we're going to use a different, this is grinding compound. We take a little bit of this, as you can see, just put it with your finger. This is like sandpaper stuff. Put it into the hole, right? Take one of these guys. You hear that grinding sound? Let me make sure you do hear. Okay, good. You hear that grinding sound? And it gets a little faint. You take it out, you turn it a little bit, and set it again. The beginning is that it's just, and then it goes. Listen to it again. What we're doing here is that we're fine tuning and grinding each valve. When I'm done with this one, I'm going to mark it, and it's going to be dedicated to this bank, this side, and this right to this spot. So we're just mating them.
I'm just gonna go over it a few more times. And you could hear it's not grinding much anymore. The sound when we started was a lot more defined and loud, while now it's kind of starting off faint. So we did a good job. So I'm going to take this valve out, clean it, and then I'm going to mark it to where it belongs, because this one is ready to be assembled. I got to do the same thing for the rest of them, and after that this side. But what I'm going to do here is I'll finish this one head fully, and then move on to the next one. Alright, so this is the one that is still shiny, not mated, and you can see over here it this has a dull finish to it. This is the one that's ready to go in, and you can see the same thing goes on over here. You could see the shiny finish, and over here is a dull finish. That's where it was seated and fine-tuned to this one specific valve. And this one I'm going to mark it number 3. This belongs in the number 3. And I'm just going to finish the rest of them. I'll flip it over, and I'm going to start working on installing all the valve springs and the keepers and new valve seats. Sorry, not seats. I have new valve seals. I'll show you the procedure for that in a few minutes. All right. So now we're up to installing these valve seals. But before we install them, we have to put these spacers on, or these seats for that go underneath the valve spring. So I'm going to start putting them in one by one. They just need to sit in there. Alright, good. I'll use one of the old valves, right? I'm going to stick it through the hole, and then I'm going to put this sleeve on top of it. This is just a plastic sleeve for install, and then I'll be able to slide that on it without having it to go over those grooves to prevent it from damage. So let's just start with the first one. I'm going to slide it over it, and I'm going to take a socket, push it all the way to the bottom, and then I just got to tap it with the hammer till I feel it hits bottom. And you could hear the sound change as well. Take the sleeve off and use it for the next one. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the valve that belongs in it, and I'm just going to put some assembly lube on each one of these, and I put a lot at the top to help the keepers stay. Once these keepers sit in here, just like that. So you put a lot. I put a heavy amount in there, and then it'll help stick them in there when I'm installing. But I am going to install each valve where it belongs. All right. This is number 3. So I'm going to show you the procedure on how to install these keepers right here. They have a taper to them, right? I'm going to put them right next to each other so you can see. you see that it gets narrow and thinner. It's a wedge. So the skinny part has to go face down, and the big part fits on the top, right? This is one I just finished doing, so you could see how it's supposed to be. And this is the tool that I use to pull down against the spring pressure and put the keepers in there. So it's kind of like you need like 2 or 3 hands to figure this to do it. It takes time. Trick that I like to do is put assembly grease on the inside with the brush, right? This way, once it sits inside of the valve, it kind of like sits into place. It helps it stick. You're using the grease as kind of like a sticky compound a little bit. And also, you take one of the small screwdrivers that you push it in with, because your fingers are not going to fit in there. You have to use small flathead screwdrivers, and you use some with a magnetic. Take a magnet and magnetize the tip, and some of them are not magnetic. This way you can push it, and when you let go of the keeper, it doesn't follow it. So it's just a delicate dance that you have to figure out, and that's it. So I'm going to continue working on this, and we'll move on to the next thing afterwards. That's the end of this episode. I'm going to continue assembling both of these heads so I can tuck them away somewhere safe. Next episode, I'm going to show you how I'm going to balance these rods, getting them ready for install, even though I can't install anything just yet because I'm still waiting on the short block to be repaired. Thanks for watching. If you're new to this channel, maybe you could subscribe. If you have any questions or any comments or anything, please do comment down below. I literally answer all of them. And till next time, if you ain't got haters, you ain't poppin'.